please for 10 seconds try to use your critical thinking. I'm gonna show you this picture, and then I'm gonna show you this picture. What is the difference here? The difference is that for some reason, despite every player in this game going into Mythic Plus not really liking Holy Paladin too much, as a matter of fact they are just barely above Meme Weaver Monk, when you look at the best players of Mythic Plus, the highest level players, suddenly Holy Paladin is now, out of nowhere, the second best, the second most played healer in Mythic Plus. Why is this happening? What's going on? I haven't really looked recently at WoW, I've been busy playing Diablo 4. What's happened? Have there been some hot fixes, some balance tuning, buffing Holy Paladin out of nowhere that made it so powerful? No, actually nothing changed. Actually nothing has been buffed or nerfed for the healers, yet Holy Paladin has been growing in the past couple of weeks. Now, why do you think that is? Why is Holy Paladin suddenly considered and being played so much more by these top players? You might be thinking, well, it's been 1 month into the season, the best hardcore players have gotten tired of playing the same spec over and over, and now they are experimenting with something different. Which is a reasonable guess. I'm not gonna dock you any points in your score for thinking that. However, there is something more relevant than this. What is more relevant is that in approximately, according to the estimation of my top team of analysts I have on payroll, within the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so, patch 10.1.5 will go live. What patch 10.1.5 is going to bring is a big rework, amongst other changes, a big rework to Holy Paladin. Not just a rework in terms of numbers, but also a rework in terms of mechanics, abilities and key rotational points of the spec. What is the thought for today is that many players, many of the better players are getting ready to play Holy Paladin because patch 10.1.5 will severely buff the spec and make it a much stronger spec than it is now. So, if that's enough for you, that's the TLDR of the video. Play Holy Paladin for the next patch and for the next season. Now, if you actually have to wonder about why exactly is this happening, is that in the massive list of changes for Holy Paladin in the next patch, there are many things that are going to be addressing the pain points, the annoyances that Holy Paladin has right now. One of the issues, for example, is that Holy Paladin had been cursed by Blizzard to try to have 2 different builds work in the same talent tree, the melee style of Paladin with the caster style of Paladin mashed together in the same talent tree, which has not really worked. The only thing it did is force the Paladin players to zigzag across the talent tree and dodge every single caster Paladin talent available, because that's shit. So the 10.1.5 is addressing a lot of it. For example, one of the never taken talents for Paladin is Tears Deliverance. Tears Deliverance in 10.1.5 will go and work together with Holy Shock, which makes it now much more viable for Holy Paladin. Another change is the Infusion of Light passive, which once again has been a passive specifically for the old school Holy Paladin style of casting spells. Now in 10.1.5, Paladins can consume Infusion of Light with Judgment, making it much better now to play around the Infusion of Light because your Judgment is getting many buffs in 10.1.5. One of the annoyances of Holy Paladin is that your heal spells are not many. When you play, you use your Spender's Word of Glory and Light of Dawn, and then Holy Shock. But Crusader Strike and then Judgment and then Hammer of Wrath don't actually give you anything in terms of healing. Recently, Holy Paladin have been playing a little bit more with Avenging Crusader, so Judgment becomes much better in terms of healing, but only when Avenging Crusader is active. And even then, it still doesn't give you Holy Power, it still doesn't give you any healing outside of Avenging Crusader. Hammer of Wrath gives you Holy Power, but does no healing. So all of these things are getting also improved in 10.1.5. Because Judgment, on top of consuming Infusion of Light, now gives you an Absorb Shield that absorbs part of the damage the enemy is going to do, but better than what it is now. Infusion of Light will increase this Absorb Shield that you will absorb with Judgment, now also showing up in your meters, in your logs. Also, Judgment now grants you Holy Power, so it's still more satisfying to use. Another change is Hammer of Wrath. Hammer of Wrath now works like, basically, Judgment works during Avenging Crusader. Hammer of Wrath now is going to take 180% of the damage you did with the spell and split it to 5 players as a heal. So now it's also more satisfying as a Holy Paladin to use this ability because it also heals players. There is also a return to a much more loved playstyle of Holy Paladin for many players, which is Glimmer. If you just look at this, these are all of the talents interacting with Glimmer, for example. Now you can Glimmer heal up to 8 targets. Now Glimmer also heals for 10% more with a talent. Glistening Radiance now gives your spender a 25% chance to proc the effect of Glimmer. With Overflowing Light, 50% of the overhealing of Glimmer is transformed into an Absorb Shield to make Glimmer healing even more effective. And finally, the big money ticket of Glimmer is the new cooldown Daybreak. Now you can suck all of the Glimmer healing away from a hot and just turn it into a big instant heal on all of the players affected by Glimmer, on top of being a pretty good mana regen ability for Holy Paladin. So there have been several changes to improve the playstyle of Holy Paladin by making Judgment more satisfying to use, make Hammer of Wrath more satisfying to use, given more ways to you to consume Infusion of Light, now being able to be consumed by Judgment. You also have other quality of life changes like making Awakening more deterministic, rather than being completely RNG and outside of your control whenever Awakening procs or not. Now, every 10 spenders, every 10 times you use a spender, your next spender will activate Awakening. So now you can choose, you can prepare and set up when to benefit from Awakening. So when to benefit from Wings or from Avenging Crusader. Your mastery is still kind of bad, sure, but at the very least now you have the talent, the very easy to take talent, Beacon of the Lightbringer, the old school. Now your mastery can also benefit from when your beacons are in terms of distance, not just from where you are, which also makes it much more easy to benefit and to gain value from your mastery. The damage increases on your Glimmer is going to give you more damage. The damage increase on Shield of the Righteous, as well as making Shield of the Righteous actually give some buffs to other spells. Since right now, one of the more annoying feelings of Holy Paladin is having a lot of holy power but having nothing to heal. The only thing you can spend it on is on Shield of the Righteous, which does nothing. It does not proc Divine Purpose, it does not proc Awakening, it also does very little damage. That is also something that gets somewhat addressed in 10.1.5 for Holy Paladin. And this is what has been giving more hope, or cope, depending on where you sit, for Holy Paladins in the next patch. The fact that now you have much better ways to use Infusion of Light, that you are gaining Fierce Deliverance as an actual cooldown because it works with Holy Shock, that you get a brand new cooldown, a very cool cooldown in the form of Daybreak and its follow-up talent to make you proc double Holy Shock for your next 3 Holy Shocks after you use Daybreak. The fact that now Glimmer of Light has been massively empowered compared to this current version, this live version of Glimmer. The fact that now, as a Holy Paladin, you have more of a payoff, more of a satisfaction as a healer when using Judgment and when using Hammer of Wrath. Now actually doing something again when you are healing and not just using them for damage or for holy power. All these things together have given some rise to the stocks of Holy Paladin for the next patch. And since the next patch is going to be right before the next season, that also means they are giving hope for Holy Paladin for Season 3, for the next season of Dragonflight. That is why, at the moment, there is quite some interest in the development of the changes for 10.1.5. Also because the Holy Paladin is the only healer who is receiving major drastic changes. No other healer at the moment is planned to receive big changes in 10.1.5. So there is some optimism at the moment about the state of the changes for Holy Paladin coming quite soon. If you are a gambling man, if you are a betting enjoyer and you were thinking about playing healer, then the best choice for you in the near future, in the next few weeks when 10.1.5 drops, and then we get to preparing for the next season, would be to start trying out Holy Paladin. That is the point for today. I'm going to, of course, leave it up to you guys, especially all of the players who already hopped on the PTR for the next patch and tried out these changes for Holy Paladin. What have been your reactions on these planned changes coming for Holy Paladin quite soon? with this out of the way, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your weekend. We are of course thanking as usual all of the Patreon supporters as well as all of the other freeloaders supporting for free. You can like and comment down below on this video as well as subscribe to the channel itself. Those will be pretty helpful ways to support considering how fast and easy they are to do. If you don't know what to say in your comments, don't worry, you can just play the piano and leave a comment anyways. So with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, it's an interesting new camera angle. There is still something to be done though about this camera's glowing white coloring because it's a bit too much, I think.